Hi everyone, I want to turn you on to an energy drink I found called Dino Luzzi. It's made in Italy. It's really good. It gives me a lot of energy. I drink it at my gym, where it's sold, and it's sold in other stores. So please go out and purchase one. I'm sure you'll enjoy it. I want to welcome everybody to the show, and I want to introduce a very good friend of mine, Tommy Flash, who I was very intimate with for 3 to 4 years of our lives together in the street, in the mob. We were members of the Gambino family. And I haven't seen Tommy since probably 1990 or 91. 89. And it's really great to see him, and he looks wonderful. He looks great. Look at him.
Oh, you look marvelous.
Yeah. So,
is that what they call this now? Intimate? We were intimate?
We were intimate, yeah. So Tommy, I know you winded up with us, but originally you were around Sammy and them. But how did you even start in this life? I know how I got started, but how did you get started? So, I had no choice in the matter.
That's true.
Yeah.
It was either that or West Point. So
West Point, all right. Well,
I went this way.
You made a left instead of a right.
I was always the type of kid, I had my own little crew. I was always by myself. I guess I got some interest in it. I opened up a club called Flash. I owned an after-hour club when I was 18. And, you know how it is. We were flying solo. We were just bluffing our way through because there was a beef every night. They're trying to figure out who we were with. Yeah. So I got approached by one of Sammy's guys, and I knew of Sammy from the neighborhood, and wanted to talk to him. And his partner, Stymie, you know Joey D'Angelo?
Yeah, sure.
His father, who was one of the best people I ever met. And went with Sammy, and it's funny, and I can tell you, we're not stressed for time here. I don't want to talk too much, but it's all. Yeah. So I remember, I had like 8 guys, right? Kids. Yeah. And I meet with Sammy and Stymie. He said, listen, you and Bear. Remember Bear?
Yeah, of course.
He says, you guys are with us. The rest of them, I said, all right, well. And it's funny because he came back. So he takes me, he said, all right, this was like on a Friday. So Tuesday night was when his crew got together. People come see him. He says, come down Tuesday night. I'll introduce you to everyone. When I get there, him and Stymie took me. There was a little luncheonette. This is at night, called Miller's, like just an old neighborhood place. He goes, and we go there, and they sit me in the booth. And where I'm going to tie into this, the first thing David says, listen, you're going to be directly with us. This is what you need to know. And Stymie makes a motion with his finger like this. He goes, we never, ever talk about this. Wanting to do it, doing it, this and that. Where I'm going with that is, everyone knows what happened with Sammy. It's well documented, but you hear the tapes. How the fuck that's the first thing they tell you as a kid that you never talk about. It's all over tapes.
And that's all they talk about.
Were they absent for that fucking? No, think about it. I'm 18, and that was the first thing they said. Listen, you might break some of these other ones. Don't break this one. How the fuck is that?
I don't know.
So anyway, I wound up with Sammy, and listen to me. I was I always flew high. Money, I wasn't scared. Yeah. People always gave me money. But I was shy like, and so, I was a kid. Yeah. All of a sudden I know I gave a guy 50 grand. Now, I don't have no money. I'm taking money from people. But they're earning because I'm earning. Yeah. Guy goes bad on me. Next thing you know, I got 100,000 I'm trying to pay every week that I can't do. Long and short of it, and I try to stick it. Believe it or not, my son implemented into me how to be a man. Be fair. Only talk about your experiences. Don't talk about what this guy said about that guy. I'm not going to do that. Me personally, I'll tell you why Sammy is one of the best guys I ever met. Sammy straightens out a lot of stuff for me, makes some deals for me. I couldn't live up to them. He had to let me go. Now, he could have crucified me. Yeah, sure. When I say let me go, I would have had to go get a job in Burger King. He didn't. Yeah. Bobby Paul, remember Bobby Paul?
Of course, yeah.
Bobby Paul was good friends with Stymie, Sammy. Yeah. And he took a liking to me. He brought me to Tony Lee. Yeah. Now, you know how that goes. There had to be a conversation.
Yeah, of course.
He could have nixed me right there. He didn't. I get to you guys. Now, you got to remember, I didn't grow up in your neighborhood.
No, not at all. You were a Brooklyn guy.
But so I had a lot of things going against me. Yeah. And I moved pretty fast.
Yeah, and I moved right to Howard Beach.
No, but I'm saying I moved pretty fast to get Tony, with Tony.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Listen to me. I'm not giving my opinion. It's documented. But the things he's having me do,
without a doubt,
I'm in.
Yeah.
which is at a record pace because there was guys there for 40,
No,
50 years.
you was a record pace.
About a year later, John had become boss. Now, I haven't seen Sammy since he says to the Flash, you can't be around here no more. I go get a bottle of Johnny Walker. I'm still a kid. And I go to his office on Highland Avenue.
Yeah.
Now, he's already a skipper, Frankie the Chico. It just happened, Frankie the Chico. But Sammy's
the
moving.
underboss.
He's moved. No, he wasn't the underboss.
Frankie
but
was
he's
the
moving,
underboss, yeah.
50 guys there. It was Christmas Eve. I walked there. You know when you do something, they say, oh, should I turn around? I don't even know how to say. I haven't seen this guy.
Yeah.
And I had the bottle, and he saw me. He was talking like, he goes, like, he put his finger up like 1 minute. And it seemed like an hour, but it really wasn't. He came over to me.
Yeah.
I said, Sammy, I just want to say Merry Christmas. I just want to say I didn't always act like a man when I was with you. He goes, well, you're a man now, Flash. And it's going to sound crazy. He told me, Flash, listen, we're all human. The hardest thing to do is be a man all the time.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
So to me, it's going to sound crazy. What makes a man? If you're not compassionate, you can't be a man. Sammy was the type of guy, and this is only my personal experience.
Yeah.
He was the type of guy, you know what, if you fucked up, all right, depending on what it was.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
But, all right, you're just, you're an idiot. Yeah. If you were cute, you were going to get an axe in the fucking head. So that's my thing. I wound up with you guys. Tony Lee just...
Oh, he loved you, Tony Lee.
He gave me a clean
My father
slate.
used to tell me, who's this kid Flash that you keep talking about when I used to go visit him?
Well, I'll tell you a funny story. I got that Lincoln, brand new. I had it like 10 days. You were going to see your father.
Yeah.
So you left me your car, right?
Yeah, yeah. I took your car. Yeah.
So you know us. Yeah. So it was over the weekend, right? So me and Linda going out. She goes, where's the car? I go, here. She goes, that ain't your car. She goes, whose car is that?
Yeah.
I go, it's Anthony's. She goes, what are you doing with Anthony's car? No. But now you remember her. She was,
she was
listen
tough.
to me, the reason I married her, I felt safe. She was tougher than me.
Yeah.
I said, it's Anthony. She goes, that's Anthony's car. Why you got Anthony's car? I said, because I like white better. Because you're an asshole. So I didn't want you to know. I paid for that
the
too.
white Bonneville?
The white Bonneville.
That's the car John Gotti bought.
Yes.
Yeah, that's the car John Gotti
But I had just bought that Lincoln like 2 weeks before.
Yeah, yeah.
And and I wouldn't tell her what. I just said, I like white better. We traded.
Yeah,
She called me an asshole.
Yeah, that's the car John Gotti bought. I talk about
so
that car a lot.
funny story, yeah.
A few years ago, the FBI put me in a hotel on Queens Boulevard. Wait, listen. So, and in the hotel, there's a restaurant, an Italian restaurant, a nice restaurant inside the hotel. So I'm alone. I go, let me go in the restaurant and have dinner. So I walk into the restaurant. I'm by myself, and I'm walking in the restaurant, and I see this beautiful picture on the wall in a frame. It's like a snapshot, but it was blown up, and it was all you could see from a distance. It was guys in a suit, so it looked like a mob picture, And I go, and I'm walking up to it, and I look, and I go, holy shit, that's me. I'm in the picture, right? Me, Big Tommy, Carl Amato, John, right? We're all in this picture, and I'm going, holy, that's me, right? It was at an affair, and we were all in suits, and we were all sitting at a table. So I walk out of the restaurant, and being that John was in the restaurant, I still was in contact with Philly Girl, with John's daughter. So I called up John's daughter, and I say, Philly Girl, I said, I just saw a picture in this restaurant of me and your father on the wall. She goes, who put a picture up? To make a long story short, she goes a couple of days later to the restaurant, and she sees the picture, and she asks who owns the restaurant. Who do you think owned the restaurant?
I have no clue.
Big Tommy's son.
Are you serious?
Yeah, I swear to God, yeah.
Wow.
And he took that snapshot, and he had it blown up, and he put it on the wall. It was like a crazy thing, like out of the...
That is crazy.
It's crazy, right? And I tell you, when I saw the picture, you were probably the only one that wasn't in the picture, because that was almost the whole crew of when we all worked together with the numbers, when we ran around with the number business and all that. It was the whole hierarchy of the number business.
It's funny that you bring up the numbers business. So I get this, and I understand the genre. People want to hear about the murders and this and that. Yeah. But we were so much, our lives, when you look back at the day, we did everything together.
Everything.
We went out with our wives to engagements. We went out with our girlfriends to plays.
Yes,
Remember Cats when they jumped in the audience? I got scared.
Yeah, we took the limo there.
You know, and then listen to me, every day we'd climb into that cesspool called Jamaica and climb out.
Yeah, yeah.
So we really were together 24. Listen to me, I didn't even know what we were then. When we used to go get the clothes, we were fashionistas. That's what they call it, right? That's what we were.
Yeah, yeah.
So, you know, people think we weren't a cult or a gang. We literally did everything together.
Yeah, we did. We did. Remember when the first time I brought Veronica was around when you had a birthday party for your girl that time.
Yeah, on Bobby, Louis Ha's brother's place, Myrtle Avenue.
Myrtle Avenue. And I walked in with Veronica, that tall blonde. That's when I first started dating her.
I remember. That's the one we went to Cats with.
Exactly, yeah. My friend Dominic was the limo driver.
Yeah, then he sent us the limo with the little jump seats for the kids. We almost choked them.
Yeah. Of course, that's what we did. Listen, we were out in the day making money. That's what we did for a living. That was, I tell people, listen, I was a criminal. That was my job. But I still was a husband. I was a father. Unfortunately, I had girls. I lived that life. That's what I lived.
I listened. My son actually helped me with a lot of this. And, a lot of things I just won't listen to entertain. Obviously, I listened to you,
Yeah.
And you said something about your father, real gangsters.
Yeah.
Get a call, get up out of bed.
Yeah.
Then they go to the Little League game.
Oh, yeah.
Well, that's what we did.
Exactly.
We remember Bow Wow? We used to take the kids.
Course.
My daughter was 3 or 4.
Yeah.
Anthony was, I don't know.
The same age, yeah.
And we'd be at Bow Wow.
Yeah.
After we,
Now it's gone, the Bow Wow.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that was my life lessons. And when my father used to tell me that when you go out and do work, the only way it counts is if you get up out of bed, you go do it, and then you come home and have dinner with your family. It don't count if you're drunk or if you're angry.
100%.
And that's what we did. I'm not saying it was, we did some violent things together. I mean, we did some violent things together. You did some violent things on your own. I did some violent things on my own. You were part of hit teams that the hit didn't take place, but you were there in the cars, whatever, with Sal and all
Sal
that.
Reale.
Sal
That
Reale.
would, at that time, that probably, aside from podcast, that might have been the biggest hit of that era.
Yeah,
because of his connection with John.
Yeah, well, that's because, and he had all the police connections.
Yeah, it was right. It was connected all the way to City Hall.
With the DA, with the mayor, with the head of the Queens borough president, and all that.
Well, I'll tell you, now that you bring that up, you talk about traumatic experiences. My traumatic experience was basically Tony Lee. I saw him the night before, and he says, listen, how you doing? He was in the Seashell, and it was a social thing.
Yeah.
Doing well, but I got plans for you. Come by tomorrow after work. So we all worked in the numbers. I went by there, and he says, I got plans for you. I didn't know. He wouldn't want me to paint his house or something. But
no, he wanted to straighten you out.
Right, but he hands me a gun.
Yeah.
Okay, so that sounds traumatic enough. Go down, and my brother Mikey is by it was, I think, a block off the Golden. We were under the L on Liberty Avenue.
Yeah.
I don't know if you know the story with that. Sal Reale, we went to his house after that.
Right.
He came out. He went to the club.
Right.
But we were at his house.
Yeah.
But anyway, to make us, you talk about traumatic. I sat in a car with Mikey Gal for like 6 hours.
Yeah.
With his psoriasis. It looks like I was in a snowstorm.
Was he scratching and itching?
Smoking those cigarettes, farting.
Yeah.
He had the flip-flops on because he had the bad psoriasis.
Yeah, bad.
And I said to myself, this ain't how it is in the movies. How the fuck are we going to get away?
Yeah.
But, you don't say nothing.
And there you are, waiting there to shoot somebody. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Well, we were the backup for Skinny Dom and Freddie.
Skinny Dom and Freddie Hot, and I tell people now now that I review, I lived a lot of years as somebody else. And now people know who I am, and I go out with people, and they look at me and they say to me, I can't believe that you were a person like that. You're such a nice guy.
But that's my point. That's why I brought up this subject.
But my point, and you're right, and we were nice guys, but that's just something we believed in at that time.
We weren't a cult.
No, and
we weren't a street gang.
Right.
You understand? You want to talk? You want to get? I don't want to get corny, but I don't care.
No,
you know what? I'm old
corny.
enough now. Guess what? Who cares?
Who gives a fuck? Right.
We were compassionate too.
We were.
We weren't bullies. We tried to do. Old people liked us.
Yeah, I'm glad you said that because I tell people that all the time. I wasn't a bull. We were not bullies.
No.
Did we commit acts of violence? Yeah, we definitely did. But we didn't perpetrate them, and we weren't bullies. We didn't go to places and bully. Did I extort people? Yeah, I did. But I still don't consider myself a bully. That was just something we did. Did I extort a vending company? I did extort a vending company. I took over the vending company. But it wasn't a bullying. The person that owned the vending company knew the deal. He knew he was with mob guys. He knew that if he did X, Y, and Z,
there was no innocent
if he did A, B, and C, he knew E and F could happen to him, and that's what happened to him. So it wasn't that I bullied him. This was the deal when you walked in the fucking door, and this is what happens.
I'm going to say something now. We're going to play a little game. Say, Flash, what's the thing that fucking bothers you the most out of everything you did?
Flash, what's the thing that bothers you the most?
Funny you mentioned that.
Yeah.
And I know we'll get into things a little later, but after a murder,
Yeah.
disposing of a body, actually having the person's blood on me, going home, washing the blood off, and then have Tony Lee send me with Colorado to that guy's parents' house to try and comfort them.
Yeah.
And the mother, I'll never forget this, and mother saying to me, oh, you know, don't worry, we're here, it'll be all right. You think he'll be fine. Knowing I just got rid of this guy, just wiped his blood off of me. Because you talk about collateral damage. We justify it. We're soldiers, so to speak. It's war. This guy did bad, but what about he has a father, he has a mother, he has a sister. I don't want to sound, I didn't find God.
You know,
I'm not,
listen,
that bothers me.
And the night
today.
before that, I was driving around with his father looking for him, and I'm the guy that
But that's my
brought him
point.
there.
That's my point.
But for
that
me,
didn't bother you? Well, yours is a little different because you were.
For me, at that time, no, it didn't even faze me.
No, that was a different situation.
At that time, it didn't faze. I picked him up that morning. He got in my car. He was all smiles. I'll never forget. He had shorts on and a T-shirt. And, you know, I knew, forget about that. Let's go a couple weeks before that when we went to the christening. Remember the christening?
Yes.
And me and you were sitting with him, laughing with him, and we knew what we were going to do to him in a couple of weeks. But that's what the life that I led. Did it bother me at that time? No, it didn't even faze me. It didn't faze me that you were going to kill Sariel. None of that fazed me. Today, does it bother me today? It bothers me. What bothers me is just like you said, what bothers me is the collateral damage. Him, God forgive me, I still have nothing for him.
Absolutely. No, I'm not coming from that angle. I'm coming from the angle of the mother. Looked at me and I lied to her face. And no, he'll be all right.
Do I
Don't
have
worry.
sympathy for his mother? I do. For my sister, my niece. My niece told the judge to give me life when I got sentenced for his murder. You know what I mean? I have sympathy for them. But at the time, it didn't faze me. Today, yeah. Today I have sympathy for, like you said, the collateral. You know, and I say it all the time. You know, today I live a life where I don't make anybody's mother cry. I help people. You know, I do the complete opposite.
Listen, let's get this straight right now. Yeah. As far as he goes in that situation, which I have knowledge of, I guess a lot of people do. I'd kill him again.
Exactly.
So that's not even you know what I mean? I was coming from the angle. That was the only thing that didn't sit right with me.
Exactly. Yeah. No. And you know, it was a terrible. We were good guys that did terrible things.
Yeah. Listen. You know,
it's like a drug addict. We're good people that just do bad things until we get clean. Then when we get clean, you know, we were always good guys. We just believed in something that was, you know, not the norm.
I heard a quote from an Academy Award-winning writer, and he says, "Listen, good people do monstrous things."
Yes,
sometimes.
without a doubt. Listen, I'm not a holy roller. I'm not religious, but if you look at the Bible, there's a lot of murder in that book. You know what I mean? A lot of adultery and a lot of murder.
But you know, I get it. I get what this is about, and I understand it. But there was so much more to that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm just as fond of, like I said, going to Bow Wow or going to a play with you.
Well, look at the friendships that were made. Me and you were only in the street a few years together, and here we are all these years later, and we're sitting here like we didn't miss a beat.
It's
right?
amazing.
It's amazing.
I really feel that way.
Yeah, exactly.
There's no awkwardness. No.
It's like we didn't miss a beat. It's like I saw you yesterday. I used to go to dinner in that club you had. Remember that little club you had?
Yeah.
With that poor Hank the Bank, that poor bastard. That Hank
you know, they still show him every time they do something organized crime.
So Hank the Bank, for those who don't know.
I had more wise guys in that club as a kid.
Tommy owned a club in Brooklyn where everybody guys from all different families used to come to it, have dinner. And there was this guy, Hank the Bank. He was a soldier in the Colombo family, and he was very good friends with Tommy. He was the nicest guy in the world. He was one of the first victims of the war between the Persian Coast.
I believe he was the first. Yeah,
he was the first. He was the first person to be murdered. He was on Persico's side, I'm assuming. And
he was
on Vic's side.
Yeah.
And Vic Arena's side, and he was the first person to be murdered in front of his house, right? He got killed.
Yeah,
didn't he?
right. You see it all the time. Just slumped over the wheel.
But that's how respected that, you know, that's the respect we got. Like people from other families respected us, hung out with us, wanted to be around us.
Listen to me. So we got to put in parameters. I know. Well, we were the youngest guys.
Young.
Because there was a lot of disparity in your father and Tony's crew.
Yeah.
There was older guys. They kept it close. So the guys were all older. Right. It was you, and then there was me. We were the young guys. Mm-hmm. And guess what? There was a lot of young guys, but no one ever got to that level.
No one.
Let's face it.
No. And you came from, you were hanging around with Sammy the Bull first.
Sammy the Bull gave me my name.
And Sammy the Bull gave you your name, Tommy Flash, and then you winded up with my father and Tony Lee, which was, I was happy about.
Well, you know what it's funny too? It's just, I went so fast with Tony and your father.
Yeah.
They were just the opportunity, and you know what? It was based on merit.
Yeah, without a doubt. Yeah.
Which you can't ask for more than that.
Listen, you had the whole package. You were earner. You were intelligent. You could commit an act of violence. You were the whole package. You know, just like that's it. You were the whole package.
But the knock on those guys were, no, they don't like young guys. That's not true. It was all merit.
Yeah.
You do the job. You act right.
Of course.
Because look what happened to me. You mentioned names. This guy's around there forever. Yeah. I'm there a year.
Yeah,
You can say whatever you want. I know people say all the time this and that, proposal, blah, blah. Yeah. When they put you on a murder, you're proposed.
Yeah, without a doubt.
That's the highest.
That's the highest honor you could have.
Well, and not only that, the highest level of trust there could be.
100%.
Because no matter what your part is in that murder,
it's a murder.
See what we realize? You know, you say it. I'm going to say it now, and it might laugh, but a bond. Our bond is dysfunctional.
Yeah, without a doubt.
But we have a bond.
Yeah, of
we
course.
did things that you didn't do with other people.
No.
So that's why after 33 years, it's like I saw you last night.
Yeah. Well,
I know it sounds
that ties us.
To people.
That ties us together forever. It's like having a baby. It's that ties us together forever.
And I thought, and I know we'll get into more, and I'm trying not to. I'm just enjoying being here with you.
Yeah, of course.
But you commit a murder. Now you have a bond with, what was it, 5 guys involved total?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay, so those 5 guys now, and you know what? Obviously you're trusted, but it's in the back of your guy. Something happens. Who's gonna, it's one thing you need to stand up. Now you're depending on 5 guys to stand up. So guess what? As far as I was concerned, the first 2 tested were me and you.
Yeah.
We were the first 2 to go to jail after that.
Yeah, when I got indicted for the murder and I got out on bail, nobody was helping me. When I went,
but before that, after we did the murder, you went to jail.
Yeah, I went to jail right away. Yeah,
not a word.
Yeah. No, nothing.
Not a thought.
No, I went to jail. No, twice after that. I didn't go to jail once. I went to jail after that murder. I went to jail in '91 to '92. Then I got re-indicted again in '95. I went to jail in '96. I did 8 years and 3 months. I was in jail. My father died. They took everything from me, and I still didn't cooperate.
Guess what? You know the list of like who's going to stand up or not? You're crossed off the list. Anthony's good.
Yeah.
Tommy Flash, '96. I went away.
Yeah.
Got to remember, I was all on my own in Jersey.
Yeah.
Never said a word.
Yeah.
And the average person knows if you have a murder, you don't got to do a day.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, you go through the drive-through and get out.
Yeah, without a doubt.
So we were the first 2. We were the 2 youngest. We were the first 2 tested.
Yeah, sure.
But how much you gonna pile on a fucking guy? And then you say to yourself, how does this come about 20 years later?
It came about because other people cooperated. It came about through Peter Sakara, Frankie's partner.
I'm not saying in particular, I know. I'm saying it doesn't happen. It happens because now we become victims because someone told on us.
Exactly. And then when I got arrested for it, now I got out of jail in 04. I did 8 years and 3 months. I got out of jail in 04. They sent for me and they tell me I'm going to get straightened out again. Nicky Carrazza had me transferred from Skinny Dom and Mikey Gal to his crew because he wanted to get me away from them because he knew they fucked around when I was in jail, what they did to me, that they took everything. They stopped giving my mother money and everything.
You couldn't have been.
Yeah.
I waited 33 years to tell you this. You couldn't have been in a worse position being with those guys.
Of course not. That's why Nicky, he actually did me a favor by getting me away from them. But then when I got pinched for the murder, that's it. Nobody did nothing for me. I needed $25,000 for the lawyer. I couldn't get it. I had a monitor on. I couldn't leave my house. My wife was working. I couldn't get help with the house. I tried to do some legal issues. I couldn't get help with the legal issues. My co-defendants all had alibis. They wouldn't help me. They had fake alibis with a travel agency, that they had fake paperwork that they were going to, they were in Florida the day of the murder. And I'm sitting there looking at them going, you were in Florida the day of the murder? You shot the guy in the head. What Florida? I was standing right there. So I told them, what about me? They go, oh, you're on your own. I'm on my own. Then finally, so now I'm home a whole year. Now you know me. I'm picking up, for some reason, Jerry Conrad, who you know, I saved his card. Because, I don't know, I never saved FBI cards. I used to rip them up and throw them away. I never saved them. But for some reason, I held on, maybe because he bought me a sandwich, or, you know what,
He had that way about
Yeah,
it.
I had to take a piss, and the marshals wouldn't let me out of the cell. And I told the marshal, listen, if you don't let me out of the cell, I'm going to piss in the cell. Jerry took me out of the cell. He brought me to a bathroom. Right. For some reason, I held this guy's card. And I would pick up the phone, and I hang it up. I pick up the phone, I hang it up. I couldn't make the call. I heard my father's voice in my head. I couldn't pick up the phone. Then I saw this knockaround guy. I went by his house because I used to be able to leave to go see my lawyer, and he tells me, why don't you call the government? I said, what are you, crazy? Call the government. I can't disrespect my father like that. He goes, what are you crazy? He goes, you did everything for your father. You committed murder for your father. You did everything for your father. Save yourself. These guys ain't going to look out for you. And I still couldn't do it. The final straw that broke my back was I had a legal issue going with a motion because they used a bookmaking charge that I already did time for as a predicate for the federal RICO to make because they needed a predicate act to charge me with the murder.
Common maneuver.
Because the feds can't just charge you for murder unless it's over state lines and all that nonsense. So to make it a federal case, they took this case I did time with and they put it into the RICO, but there's a time frame for them to do that. And I came up with a lawyer that found that they might have violated that time frame. So I needed information from Joseph Carrazza, the attorney, Dominic's attorney. So
not a fan.
The attorney, me neither. The attorney calls up this lawyer and they tell my lawyer, we can't give you the information because we're going to use it at trial. And if Anthony uses it in a motion, we can't use it. So in other words, I'm finished. So the lawyer calls me up and says, listen, they don't want to help you. You need to call the government because these people are going to throw you under the bus. And I said to her, what are you, fucking crazy? I can't call the government. They go, listen, you need to call the government because these people are going to throw you under the bus. I hung up the phone and I still couldn't do it. The next morning I woke up, I took the card and I gave it to my wife. I still couldn't make the call. I gave it to my wife. I said, listen, when you get to work, call this number, which Jerry's number. I said, and tell this guy to come see me. And that was it. She went to work, she called the number, and she came to see me. And, here I am. And, and I tell people, like, see, you would understand this because you know me. If my father was alive, not that, if my father was alive or Tony Lee was alive, I would have never cooperated with the government because I would have never gave them up.
Well, for me,
yeah, I would have never
given Tony Lee.
Yeah, well, yeah, because my father was in jail when you were around. But my father knew of you. My father knew of you very well, believe me.
No, I understand that, but for me, it was the same thing.
Yeah.
Once Tony Lee died, they all died. And I'm gonna say something now because I'm getting the feeling from you. You're in a great place.
Yeah.
So the people that were closest to your father, that would only existed because of your father.
Yeah.
Were the most treacherous, I don't want to curse, they were the most treacherous of all.
You could curse.
They were the most treacherous motherfuckers there were.
Yeah.
The people, they wouldn't even exist in this world if it wasn't
and I
for your
told them that. I told them that. I when I was in jail and they started taking shit from me, I called up Freddie Hott. I told Freddie Hott, I said, what's going on out there? They're taking you took my son's health insurance money. There's nothing we could do. Things are bad. I'm in jail. He told me things are bad out. Things are bad out there. I'm in jail. What are you talking about? Things are bad out there.
It's like your father never existed.
Exactly.
And
Once
you know
he
what?
died, that
Listen,
was it.
we're big boys.
You don't have to fear the dead.
Those guys were, like I said, they only existed in this world because of him.
He
You
saved
expect
their
that
lives.
other people.
He saved their
like
lives.
he never existed.
That's what happens. That's what that life's about. Listen, you saw the Bronx Tale, right? That's what that life's all about, But this, thank God we survived it. We survived it and we're here to talk about it.
It's just, listen, people, I get it. And, the people that talk don't know. And, that old saying, the people that know don't talk. People have no fucking clue.
No.
It's very easy to point a finger or say this or that. You know what I'm saying? I had people make remarks, oh, you never say nothing. Yeah, well, what do you do for a fucking living?
Yeah, they don't do nothing. They go to work every day.
I did more time in a toilet bowl. Yeah, right.
They drive a truck.
Right, so I could just accuse you.
It's always the people that never did a day in jail that have the biggest mouths.
But right,
you know that.
So I could just come accuse you of a murder. Now we're talking murders. We're talking life. Your life's over.
Yeah, of course.
That means your family, everything's over. Yeah. You know, there was a screenplay written that, you know, me and my son, it's my son's story.
Yeah.
It's how that life affected my son.
Without a doubt.
I had a chance to get out and still be part of his life as any kind of professional athlete. It is such a journey that needs so much to go into it. Whatever I could do. Yeah. I wasn't going to, you wanted me to give, not only my life, give that up. And I say to people, if you didn't do something, you would just, you don't say nothing. Get the fuck out of here.
Because they don't know any better. They don't know any. Listen, you talk about your son. My daughter tells the story. My daughter was traumatized by my life, so she grew up in a visiting room. She was 3 when I went away. She was 11 when I came out. She tells the story. She tells a story about when I lived in Comac. All she knew was her grandfather loved her. He was very affectionate, and she knew that I was her father. She was, and she's in my basement in Comac, and she finds a cardboard box, and she opens up the cardboard box, and there's newspaper articles in the cardboard box, and she starts reading the articles, and it's about murders that me and my father committed, like murders my father committed, a murder I was involved in, and she's reading these newspaper articles, and she's traumatized. She didn't know what to do with it. She didn't know who to talk to about it, and she just stuffed it. She never even said anything to just recently. I mean, she's a woman now, and but when I could only speak for me, and I'm sure it goes for you too. But when you're out there, when we're wrapped up in that lifestyle, I didn't even take her into consideration.
No, not at all.
You know what I mean? I didn't even take any of that. I didn't even take my relationship with my wife into consideration. It was all about me. You know, I was a self-centered bastard when I was in that lifestyle. It was all about me. My rationale was, listen, you're living large. I'm making a ton of money. You got a beautiful home. We're going on great vacations. You're wearing the Gucci clothes. 100%. You know, that was my justification. You can't tell me what to do. You know, you're living like a princess.
100%.
I used to call my wife Jackie Onassis. I used to tease, hey, Jackie, come on, where do you want to go tonight? And that was my justification. But at the end of the day, you know, I was a scumbag. I was wrong.
But that's the only way you could live that life.
Exactly.
If you don't justify, if you don't lie to yourself, how do you do that?
Yeah, of course. I mean,
I lied to myself.
Listen, I had 2 wives. You know, I had 2 wives that were really great women, and I was never faithful to any of them because that's what I was taught. My whole adult life, the only people I knew, like, listen, every male I knew, every friend of my father's that I knew, including my father, had a wife and a girlfriend. The only ones I knew that didn't have wives and girlfriends were my uncles.
Right.
Was his grandfather, my cousin Gary's grandfather. Those are the only guys I knew that were real good guys, husbands, fathers. My father was a good father, but he had 9 girlfriends. But this is what I was taught. But in my brain, that was fine.
If you remember, when I came around, I was married to Liz. I lived in Brooklyn.
I remember
and
Liz
I had the
very
house
well.
in Howard Beach with Linda, where I wound up married.
I remember Liz. I remember your wife. I remember.
And I had the house with Linda in Howard Beach.
I remember Linda very well too. We used to go on double dates together. I mean, you know, and when you tell people this, they look at you like, but this was the life. And
I'm going to tell you why I'm proud of you.
Why is that?
Well, besides you look marvelous.
Thank you.
See what you just said? Up to now, I'm the only guy who says that, and it plays well with women, I got to tell you. See what you just said? I was married to great women.
Yeah, I was.
But guys don't say that, right? Oh, no, I was married to 3 great women, so now women say, well, what happened? I happened.
Exactly. Listen, my 2 kids are my 2 kids because of their mothers. It had nothing to do with me. I was in jail. My son Anthony, he was born in June of 83. And my father, a month later, went on the lam. In 84, my father was in prison. So from 84 till 2004, he was in a visiting room visiting either me and my father or me and my father. His whole life, one of us was in prison. He literally grew up in the visiting room. of prisons. He jokes and tells people he's a professional jailhouse visitor. When he goes to the airport, he goes, watch this, I'm a professional. How he goes through the metal, he thinks it's a joke, how he goes through the metal detectors. He makes a joke out of it because the kid grew up in a prison. I'll tell you a funny story. My father used to tell him he was a general in the Army because when he was my father was in Petersburg, Virginia, and the prison was actually on an Army base.
Yeah,
so when we used to go visit my father, we would drive through the Army base and he'd see tanks and soldiers. So he really thought my father was in the Army. And my father used to tell him he was a general. I mean, this is how crazy our life is. So now my son's 8 years old. It's 91. I have to go to jail, right? I have to go to jail. So I sit him down and I'm sitting on the stoop and I tell him, listen, Daddy did something wrong. I got to go to jail. So he looks at me, he goes, what's the matter? You don't have good lawyers? He's 8 years old. I said, I have good lawyers, but I got to go to jail. So now I go to jail. My friend Lenny, this kid Lenny, I know from the neighborhood, and my friend Donna, they take him up to visit me one day, right? So now he's 8 years old. He comes into prison and he looks at me and he sits on my lap and he goes to me. Now he just came into prison, right, with the same setup as where my father's, and he sits on my lap and he goes, well, I guess Grandpa really ain't in the Army, is he?
It's funny you say that. So the screenplay was written, it's my son's story, and the story is, as a little kid, he figured out that life.
Yeah.
Where guys would still say, oh, your father, but my father's full of shit. So are his friends, and so is everyone.
Yeah.
As a kid.
Yeah.
And that's amazing.
Yeah.
And you know what's funny? I don't know if you hit that point. I think you did. That was our world. There was nothing else in the world that existed. Anyone else was just we are the smallest part of the world.
Yeah.
When you realize what's out there, and you know what?
Oh, forget
you
it.
start leaving regions and this and that. Who the fuck are we? You understand?
Yeah.
And then it's like, wow, what the fuck? Now you got to try and survive in that world.
Yeah. You know, so here we are, all these, you know, and that's like we said earlier, the bond was, you know, the bond is the bond, and, you know, we'll be friends forever, man.
Well, that you
And
can
I'm glad, thank God for social media. We would have never found each other.
I got to thank my son. I would have never, first of all, I can't see. But my
So
son.
the glasses look very stylish. But
Well, what did you think? I wasn't going to be stylish? But it's crazy, and I feel fortunate enough not to have insecurities or ego where my son is my mentor now.
yeah, that's beautiful.
You know how
There's
to
nothing
I know
wrong with
people.
that.
"Ooh,
There's nothing
trust
wrong
me."
with that.
And you know what? I take that as a compliment. That
Without a
means I
doubt,
raised
you
a hell
did
of
a
a
good
guy.
job. You did a good job.
That this guy could give me advice now that's helpful
Yeah.
and show me the way. And listen to me, this ain't like fucking the courtship any farther. We fight like cats and dogs
Yeah, well,
sometimes.
that's all right.
But the fighting is not so much fighting. He's blasted. Like I told you, there's times he'll look at me and goes, you with Tony Lee and Fat Andy? It's fucking possible. Yeah, but he's right.
Yeah, of course.
So this never would have happened.
No, of course not.
I would have never reached out.
My kids too. They teach me every day. But I tease my daughter. My daughter's name is Tony Lee. You know, I named my daughter after Tony Lee. Because this is what happened. I'll tell you the story, then we'll say goodbye. So my wife is my second wife, Valerie. She's pregnant, right? So we know we're having a girl. So Tony Lee had just died in February of '93. Tony Lee just passed away. So my wife's pregnant. We're arguing. What are we going to name the baby? She wants to name the baby Danielle. I want to name the baby Bernadette. I just like Bernadette. She's my favorite saint. Don't ask me why. Saint Bernadette. So anyway, since I'm a kid, I saw the movie. I guess I liked the actress. I had the hots for her. So anyway.
That's a good reason.
Right. So anyway. So now we're arguing. In the middle of this argument, the phone rings. Because now every day my father would call me from the jail, from the federal prison. In the middle of the argument, the phone rings, and it's my own man. So I get on the phone. He goes, what's up? I said, please, I'm having an argument with Valerie. He goes, what's the matter? I go, what's the matter? I said, we're trying to figure out what to name the baby. She wants to, well, what do you want to name? I said, I want to name her Bernadette, but she says that a bully in her class was named Bernadette, and she don't want to name her Bernadette. Because every time she calls her that, she'll think of the bully. And she wants to name her Danielle, and I'm telling her everybody's named Danielle out. It's too common. So in the middle of me telling him, he tells me, geez, why don't you name her Tony Lee? Nobody's named after that poor bastard. And like who was better than he was like my second father. The guy paid for me to go to treatment. Before I met you, I was in treatment. So I said, you know what? You're right. I hung up the phone and I told my wife, my father said we should name her Tony Lee. And that was the end of the argument, and she said Tony Lee. You bring up